Hey guys, back with another video. And today I thought of making a video of another team that's been not been doing so great for so far. Like I did one on Dortmund like a month ago maybe. Maybe I've done some other ones, I'm not sure. But Leicester City have just gone down. Something's happened in this season. Like for the last few seasons they've been competing for Champions League, but now they are not they're only 10th. So what's going on with Leicester City today? What is going on? So let's look at this season and let's see what's happening. So to see this whole story, we need to go back to 2014. 2014-15 was a season when Leicester City had just gotten promoted to the Premier League, and they were doing okay. I mean, actually, no, they weren't. Take that back. Yes, at the 30 game mark, they were sitting bottom of the Premier League, and it was not doing good for them. They were not doing good, and they didn't want to get relegated, obviously. But this was known as the Great Escape, as some, because Leicester City were able to go from 20th to 14th by the end of the season. Crazy, because they were 20th, which is 8 games to go, and they were able to survive in the Premier League, just get to 14th with 41 points. And then we go to the 2015-16 season. Probably one of the biggest fairy tale stories you'll ever hear in football and English soccer, because this story is absolutely insane. And if you haven't heard about this, then you should really look at this up. Before the season started, Leicester City had a 1 out of 5,000, something like that. So they were the chances of them happening were very close to impossible. And what did they do? They won the Premier League. And I can't believe it. They had a 1 out of 5,000 chance of winning the Premier League, and they go and win the Premier League. Yes. And that was insane. That was crazy. They would finish with 81 points, 23 wins, 12 draws, and 3 losses. 10 points ahead of second place Arsenal. So, crazy story. Absolutely insane. That was crazy. I could not believe that happened. But going into 2016-17, many changes would happen. Well, one, the coach who led them there, Claudio Ranieri, left. So that's one thing. And also a few players left. I think a few players. I think that'll be the next season after. But a lot of players will leave. So for 2016-17, they would be pretty big favorites again to get another Champions League spot. But what happened was they finished 12th. 12th. I think it's the lowest place finish after a team won the Premier League. Usually after a team wins the Premier League, you expect them to do good next season. Well, they didn't. They finished 12th. Well, below top 10. Behind teams like Bournemouth, West Brom, West Ham, and Southampton. And only with 44 points. If you think about that, 44 plus 8, 44, it almost equals what they got the previous season. 44 plus 44 equals 88. They got 81 the season before. So, yeah, not good. Very not good. And what happened was a series of departures. You had players like Riyad Mahrez gone. Robert Hoof gone. Yeah, Inler gone, I think. Drinkwater left. A lot of players left because of that bad season. They want to be competing at the front. But unfortunately, that season was just not good. So, 2016-17, from 1st to 12th. And then 2017-18, another not good season. They would be only in 9th. And with 47 points, only 3 more points from last season. They had 12 wins, 11 draws, 15 losses. And they were only finishing 9th. And by the way, I forgot to mention, for 2016-17 they would get Champions League. They would top their group, win against Sevilla 3-2 in aggregate, but in the quarterfinals they unfortunately lost to Atletico Madrid, like 3-1 in aggregate. So, yeah, they wouldn't be getting Champions League again. For 2017-18, they would finish 9th. Ahead of some good teams, like, again, West Ham, Crystal Palace, Newcastle. But they lost a lot of good players, like Riyad Mahrez to Man City, and then he would win the Premier League. So, they had some big losses, and unfortunately, not a lot of the original players are in the team, like, currently. So, 2017-18 again wasn't a good season, 47 points. 2018-19, another not good season. I mean, for their standards, it wasn't a good season. If they want to be fighting for Champions League each season, well, these days weren't good because they literally only finished 9th again. This time with 52 points, but 15 wins, 7 draws, and 16 losses. Not particular group. Whatever, not great, let's just say it. So, going into 2019-20, they were probably expecting another top 10 finish, but only 9th, because the last 2 seasons they finished 9th and then 12th. But the beginning of that season would be another one that would start very well. Surprisingly, because they weren't doing good, but this season they really kicked it on. Because in the start of the season that year, they would start out very, very well. Winning, in their first few games, they had won. They didn't lose a game until, only September, but they were winning. Had a really strong start to the season with 2 wins. Three wins, 2 draws, and only 1 loss. And they would keep up that form, winning against some big teams like Arsenal, Everton, getting some good results. And for most of the season, I think until COVID happened, I think they were in Champions League. I think they were in Champions League until COVID happened. Because obviously the coronavirus had to stop everything. And then there would be no football from March to June. So, coming back, everyone be coming back. Leicester, they were in Champions League spot. They were doing really well. But unfortunately, all that form started to go down. Unfortunately, by the end of the season, they will not be getting Champions League. Fortunately, teams like Man United and Chelsea gained back ground. And unfortunately, they will be finishing 5th with 62 points. Chelsea and Man United would finish with 66. And another bad thing is, if they won their final 2 games of the season, they would have gone to Champions League because they lost 3 of their last 5 games, only 1 win in their last 5 games. So they could have gone Champions League, which is a bit of a shame for them because I do wish that they did get Champions League. But 2020-2021 was another great start to the season because they started off well, winning against West Brom on their first game of the season. And in the 3rd game of the season, they would shock everyone with a 5-2 win away from home against Man City. But then things started going down. They would lose against West Ham and Aston Villa. But they would be playing Europa League this season. So how could they do in Europa League? So for the rest of the season, they will keep up their good form. In the Europa League, they were really good. They topped their group. Did they? Yeah. Yes, they did. They topped their group over Braga, who had the same amount of points. And they would also be in Champions League for most of the season. So, they were doing very well. So, what would happen? What would happen is that in the Europa League, unfortunately, things didn't go their way. Let's just say it like that. They lost to Slavia Prague in the round of 32. I mean, losing to Slavia Prague, I know they're the best team in Czech Republic, but they tied 0-0 in the first game, and then they lost 2-0 at home. So not great. I mean, maybe it's better to focus on one competition like the Premier League and Champions League. But still getting knocked down in the round 32 is not particularly great. So, for the rest of the season, unfortunately, the same thing that happened last season haunted them again. They would not be in Champions League. And this time it was even closer. They lost out in Champions League by 1 point. If they just, there were some games that they really should have won, like Newcastle. They lost 4-2 to them in, their final 5 games. And they only won 1 of their last 5 games. And they lost 3 of their final 5 games. So, they would not get Champions League, which is another shame. And I feel like, when's that going to happen again? That they could be getting Champions League. Because now, this season, they're sitting down in the lowly 10th. So, what's been going on this season? What has happened to the team that once won the Premier League? Well, there's a series of combinations. Well, one, injuries. There have been actually a lot of injuries this season that have happened to their players. So, you could forgive about that. But there have just been some bad performances, especially in the Europa League. So, the Europa League's one that I'm really sad to talk about, actually, because they were in a group. I know it was probably one of the harder groups. It had Napoli, it had Spartak Moscow, it had Legia Warsaw. And what would Leicester City do? They would finish third. And, yeah, they would finish behind Spartak Moscow and Napoli. And one of the worst parts was they lost to Legia Warsaw, man. Really? They lost to Legia Warsaw, which really isn't particularly great. And they finished off in third with 8 points. They lost to Napoli on final game. If they had won or tied, I think, with Napoli, they would have gone through. But they lost against Napoli. So Spartak and Napoli went through. They will go demoted down to Conference League. But they'll be playing in Conference League. So it's not that bad. They would be playing at least in a competition in the Conference League. And it has been better in the Conference League. In the round of 32, they would beat Randers. They would be playing the Danish team Randers. They beat them 7-2 on aggregate, 4-1 and 3-1. And then in the round of 16, they would beat Rennes 2-0 and then lost 2-1 and through 3-2 on aggregate. Now they're going to be playing PSV in the quarterfinals. But what happened to them in the Premier League? Well, series of bad results. And again, injuries. They could have won the FA Cup, I honestly think, because they won the FA Cup last year. But they got knocked out in the 4th round, 4-1 to Nottingham Forest. And I really think if they played that well, then they could have made it through and won the FA Cup to get a competition. Hopefully they do win the Conference League to get in the Europa League. But I really want Leicester City to be competing at the top. I want them to be getting Champions League. So, Leicester City, I just hope you get back to form and start winning Premier Leagues again. So, what do you think? Do you agree that Leicester City have just fallen off the season? Do you want Leicester City back? If you do, like the video, subscribe, and comment down below. And I'll see you guys next time. See ya.